Welcome to Retro Gamer 365, where we are gaming every day, and today is March 9th. And that is a weird date because yesterday was National Retro Video Game Day, and tomorrow is Mario Day. So, we're going to look at two of the probably more prevalent retro systems. I mean, everyone's heard of a Nintendo, not of, but this one is actually the direct competition for Nintendo right here, and we'll talk about it in a second. We're going to talk about the Atari right here first. This is an Atari 2600 released in 1979, I believe. Like most every early video game system, it runs on cartridges. I don't have them with me right now because they're in a box someplace over there. But this is the first system that the Mario Brothers game came out on, as well as Frogger, Pac-Man, Galaga, Centipede, Defender, Joust, Adventure. Hundreds of games that are really pathetically simple by our standards today, but they set the standard for what came to be modern gaming. And so you might look at it, you see that it has a power switch that's on and off, but it also has a color TV and a black and white TV button. And then it has the game select, which is when you use to pick like one player, two player, or game A, game B when you get to the start menu. And then a reset button, which has kept track with most game systems since until the PS3. Didn't have a reset button. But past that, you have this weird thing on the back here. I mean, it's weird for us now, because now you have a channel select between channel 2 and 3, and this lets you change the base one that shows up on your TV on. And then you have the right controller jack, left controller jack, a difficulty one for switching through A and B, which some games use that one, and the game select one here. But it also has it for both sides. So you have first player changes their difficulty, second player changes their difficulty. But this system is strange by today's standard. This is the output from the system right here. A single RCA plug. And this RCA plug does the video and the audio for it. And that's what's weird. Normally you have three, now you have a red, white, and a yellow. The red and white being the audio and the yellow being the video. If you found a TV that actually plug in with this one nowadays, that's special. But whether or not you know and such, this system requires a video sync button or knob on TV. If you plug it into a modern TV, it'll just keep turning the video over and over and over again because it doesn't have a way to lock it in place. It's done digitally now, and this thing cannot comprehend it. But this was the mainstay of video gaming for many years until the ET game came out, and Atari took a big dive at that point. But as I promised, here is the contemporary for the Nintendo Entertainment System, and this is the Sega Master System. This is only the second one of these I have ever seen in my life. So I don't honestly know how many of these there are. I know that the Genesis was the mainstay in Europe when I lived in Europe as a little kid, and Nintendos were hard to find. But I don't think it's the same way in the US with these. But this one's strange because it is cartridge based, that's pretty normal, but it also has a slot for a card right here. I have never seen one of these cards. I don't know what they look like or what they do. But it does say card input on it, and it has one controller, a second controller button, and then the power button right here. But it has a reset button right here. And then what's strange is that it's a pause button, so you can pause your game on here instead of it being on your controller like with the NES. But the cartridge for this, Batman is helping me host apparently. The cartridge for this is pretty much the same as a Genesis cartridge or a Saturn memory card if you've ever seen one of those. They fit in there, and they're really not very big, but some games had up to 4 of these cartridges for the game. So I have Afterburner and Space Harrier and a few of the other classics, but they're not out right now, so I can't tell you where they're at. But just like the Nintendo or the Atari I was looking at over there, sorry, it has a channel select button, and so this one is actually in there ways you have to use tweezers or something to move it back and forth to channel 3 and 4. And then it has a separate radio frequency out, which is the exact same as this one is, but it also has a weird AV out system connector. And I've never seen another connector like this before. I'm not sure what the name of this plug is, so that's weird. but it has an AC adapter plug here to plug in the wall wart. And so for this one, you can either plug in an AV slot there, or you can plug in an RF slot, which is like this one. I have an RF switch adapter for this that plugs into here, and then gives you a coax connection out to your TV, which is not what this plug is. But it provides the audio and the video separately. And now instead of that, we have HDMIs and S videos, and component videos. A whole lot of weird different connections, but they're just getting more and more complex as time goes on, really. But I'm not going to do much about these else than we'll show you some videos from later from games once I get them. But one thing I do want to show you before we hang out for the day is the back of this system has all these phone numbers that don't mean anything nowadays. But there is this little piece that comes off right here, the cap, and you can't see it very well inside here because I have not and I will not break out this piece. This is for the external modem adapter, which is normal for Japanese systems, but not for American systems. The original NES and the Super Nintendo both had a port like this to plug on a modem, but the US never got the system in place to use them. In Japan, there was a weird, satellite TV system that worked where they had broadcast games on it, and you could play the game just downloading it onto your original systems. That never happened with the Sega games. It never happened with the Nintendo games in the US either. So I'm not sure what real purpose there is to it, but once you get to the Saturn later on, it has a built-in modem, and it has the Genesis 2 has an external connector port to connect the Sega CD on the side of it, which I'll go get show you one of those sometimes too. The Dreamcast, however, is the first one that has a useful built-in modem. But with that, just let me know if there's anything else you'd like to know about these systems that I can do a video on. And for more great content, go hit that subscribe, that like button, hit the notifications, and see you next time. Keep on gaming every day. Have a great day. Bye.